Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another mini review, and today we are talking about Perseverance Castaway Chronicles Episode 2. Now, to get the most out of this mini review, you probably need to go back and look at the mini review of Episode 1 as well, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about will be in comparison or as an add-on to Episode 1. So, sorry about that, but it's just the best way for me to kind of explain this game, is to kind of take it from Episode 1 into Episode 2, which is really probably how most people are going to play the game anyhow. So what this game is it is the continuation from Episode 1. And Episode 1 was kind of a tower defense Euro game where you were kind of setting up an area of safety on this island of dinosaurs. And then Episode 2, you have established a perimeter so your camps are all safe, or your home is safe, and you're going to still be trying to get political dominance within the new homestead that you have, but you're also going to be going outside of the camp and kind of exploring out into this new world. For most of that, the gameplay is very, very similar. You're still chucking dice at the beginning of the turn and using those to activate different abilities, and you're going to be doing your main ability, and then you're going to be doing a secondary ability each round. You're going to have your leader, you're going to have soldiers, you're going to be going out on adventures, and all of those things with minor differences are the same as in the previous game, hence why I said check out that other video for the kind of the broad overview of how that works. But the biggest change, there's lots of little changes, but the biggest change is there are these tiles out on the map that are covering up all these camps that you can set. And as you set these camps out, the camps will be able to do different things, but you have to actually go out with these new resources, these glow berries, and explore new regions. And as you go out, you're going to be running into dinos, having to fight dinos. The adventure cards that were the patrol cards in the previous game, these adventure cards kind of represent as you're going out there and exploring these areas, which will get to these new cards, and you can send your soldiers out in a way that is just like you did with the patrol cards. And everything else is mostly the same. So let's actually just jump right into my likes and quibbles with the game. So starting out with what I like about the game. There is an added bit of variability to every time you play, because now there's these different perks that you can unlock based on the different officers that you have influence with. And as you play through that, you become more and more asymmetric as you play. I always like that because it adds different styles and different paths and different strategies that you can take simply based on which of these perks that you unlock. The second thing is the core gameplay loop is still fun. It is still satisfying, just like it is in Episode 1 of this trying to maximize the use of these dice. It's very, very brain-burny Euro in all of the best ways as far as that goes. There's this very, very tight resource management, and what is one of my favorite things, you just can't do it all. If you try to do everything, you're going to wind up doing a lot of nothing. And to me, that is a hallmark of a good, solid Euro game, so I always do appreciate that. Next, there's very satisfying combos that can happen on your turns, because you actually get to do several things on your turn. You get to do a main action, and sometimes that main action consists of 2 or 3 things. Then you get to do a secondary action, which sometimes consists of a few different things. And so every turn you feel very, very accomplished as you're working through it. I think the adventure cards are still great. I loved the patrol cards in the previous episode, and I love the adventure cards now. Just love that. I also really enjoy the exploring out. I think that is really, really satisfying. It takes the place of this defending against the dino attacks. You still have to fight the dinos, but they're not invading you. It takes the place as you're going out into their territory. I think that's very, very satisfying and enjoyable, but not in a way that is frustrating, because it's still pretty deterministic what is going to happen when you're going into combat. And then speaking of the dinos, one of the things you can do now is you can actually capture the dinos, and they become another resource. Though you don't have to. You can kill the dinos that you're fighting, or you can capture some of them. There's another interesting decision there of how you maximize and use that resource. And the last thing, just like I said before, it's a fantastic production. Everything is beautiful. There's these beautiful miniatures, though of course I have a deluxe edition that Mind Clash Games was kind enough to send me, but even the standees look really nice. It's a very, very good production. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first one is, even though the solo, which works quite well, is relatively simple, there's a lot of little things that you have to remember. And that's actually can be expanded out to the whole game. It's actually not that hard of a game once you get it, but to really get all of it, there's a lot of little tiny rules that you have to make sure you're locked in on. You have to remember that in this case, when this type of card comes up for the solo, it's actually referring to this other thing. You do this differently, which might be not the same as you might do it otherwise. So there's little exceptions throughout that can make it feel a little daunting as you're trying to learn the game, make it feel a little bit more fiddly than I think the game actually is. And then along with that, there's lots of rules, period. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do. Every single turn is a long turn. There's a lot of stuff that you just look at the player aids, they're huge. And I think because of that, when you're playing in a larger player count, it can lead to a little bit of downtime. Because, as I said at the beginning, sometimes you have these big turns that feel great, but that means everyone's waiting for you to finish your turn. And then the last thing that I'm going to say is, even though the game is mostly the same as Episode 1, the fact that it's not completely the same can sometimes be confusing, because there are just small enough changes here and there which thematically work, are really enjoyable, they work with the changes of the game. If you're very familiar with both of them, sometimes you might find yourself getting a little confused as to which one is for which of the different episodes. The last thing I'll say, and I said this before, is it's a huge box. It is a massively huge box. Now, it doesn't fill the table as much as you might think it does with a huge box, so it's easily played on a human-sized table, but the box itself is really, really big. It's going to take up most of a whole Kallax shelf if you have one of those, or like one of my cubes. It would take up just about an entire cube over here. So, there you have it, folks. That is Perseverance Episode 2 of the Castaway Chronicles. As I said with the first video, this is a game that I wasn't really interested in at first because the theme is weird to me, because, you know, it's very modern. I tend not to like modern stuff. Dinosaurs, I don't really care about dinosaurs per se, but it is a very satisfying game. I actually really enjoyed playing it, and it's one that I think if you are looking for that heavier game, you're looking for a heavier Euro, you like that kind of political machinations thing that you're doing, you know, kind of under the hood, and you like the dice placement, you're not rolling dice, not a dice game, you're just using the dice to see what you have at the beginning of the round, then this is one that I think you should probably check out, especially now that you can get episodes 3 and 4, though I'll say all 4 of them are probably massive amounts of game as well. So, there you have it, folks. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.